I'm Paul Fromm with the Canada First Immigration Reform Committee. I'd like to tell you about an incident that happened to me on February the 2nd, 2016 at Pearson International Airport, and it has to do with customs censorship and political harassment by the Canada Border Services Agency. Let me give you a bit of background. Customs censorship has been a problem in this country for many, many years. Did you know that there's a list of banned books? Yeah, there is. That's right, not in the old Catholic Church in Canada today. Did you know what customs does with books that they seize? They burn them. We have that right from Canada Border Services. A few years ago, a friend of mine had 2 copies of a book called Jewish Supremacism Seized. It's a book by Representative Dr. David Duke. I wrote him an appeal. The appeal failed. And he asked, well, what will happen to the books? Well, they'll be destroyed. And he said, well, how? They'll be burned. Kind of funny, isn't it? Book burning, I thought that only happened in, some regime in Europe. Anyway, what happened to me? I was coming back from Europe. I'd been speaking on the previous weekend at the London Forum in London, England. I was on Air Canada Flight 849 out of Heathrow, and I landed at Pearson. And what happens when you return to Canada is you fill out a customs declaration, and you indicate whether you have certain types of things with you, for instance, agricultural goods over $10,000. I don't think I had anything like that, and so on. And then you put that into a machine, and the machine generates like a photocopy of it and reads the data. Then you go to the next agent who makes sure you have your passport and make sure that you have this declaration form. Then you normally go and pick up your luggage, and at the very end you hand in your declaration form, and you might be sent over for secondary inspection. Well, I was actually sent for a primary inspection, and the fellow noticed that I had marked an X beside agricultural products. And he said, well, what's that? I said, it's truffles. Truffles are kind of a rarity that come from France. They're a fungus that grows in the root of trees, and they're quite good tasting in salad and so on. So anyway, that was okay, that was fine. My declaration got stamped. I picked up my luggage, and then I was about to go out, and then I get signaled over for secondary inspection. And that's when a 2.5-hour ordeal began. The agent who dealt with me was a quite heavy-set young woman, and she started to go through everything I had. We started off with the suitcase. Well, not too much interest in my clothes or dirty laundry. She went through my shaving kit, and I had a couple of books. She took a look at them, and it was funny the way she looked at a book. She'd take a book up like this, and she'd go page by page by page by page. I don't know what she thought was going to fall out, $1,000 bill or I don't know. Anyway, that's the suitcase. Next, what I call my reading bag. I have a shopping bag. I do a nightly show on whiteresistanceradio.com, and I read newspapers, and I clip out the items I'm going to talk about. And I've been reading, the Times of London, the Daily Express, and I think, the Globe and Mail, and the National Post of the day before. Every 4 papers on the transatlantic flight. I cut up some clippings. She took these clippings, and believe me, one didn't know whether to be frustrated or to laugh. She looked on the front and the back. On the back of some of these clippings, there was an ad. It's from a daily newspaper. You ask yourself, what are you doing? All right. And then another, nobody has a name, of course. Another woman, this one was a blonde, short blonde with short hair. She came over. She seemed to be the superior to the heavy-set woman who was dealing with me. Well, she gave her a pile of my clippings and a few other things. She disappeared in the back room. She came back somewhat later and put them aside. Well, they're not important, she said. Okay. And I thought, are we going to go through everything I have? Oh yes, my laptop. Well, they go through the bag, the accessories, the the charger and all those things, and the manuals that I've never read for my own laptop, and a book on a foreign language. She asked me if I'm learning that language. I said yes, but not very. What does it matter? Anyway, then the laptop itself, they take it away, then they come back with it. It has a password. I said, that's right. You have to give it to us. I said, no, you don't have a right to search this. Well, apparently they do. Well, if you don't give it to us, we'll take it. And we'll send it to Ottawa. I thought, well, you're welcome to do that. I don't think you'll be able to get into it, but the problem is Customs Canada stole a laptop from me because I refused to give them the password back in 2006. So I had to calculate, do I want to kiss goodbye to another $600 or should I give them the password? Because there's not much there. There's some photographs, yes. There's a couple of things I wrote. Wow. So they went and disappeared with the laptop. Now it came to what I call my book bag. I've been speaking at the London Forum. I also spoke at a meeting in Barcelona, Spain. And in my book bag, I have numerous copies of two newsletters I published. One is the Free Speech Monitor, and the other is the Canadian Immigration Hotline. I had numerous copies because I just gave them out to anybody who was at the meeting. Here's the Free Speech Monitor. I gave them out, and I had quite a number left over, and they're in complete chaos. For instance, here's a bundle of, what is this? The April 2015 issue of the Free Speech Monitor. Do you know, she went through a bundle like this, looking at I mean, they're all the same. The April 2015, this particular newsletter doesn't differ from that. I couldn't believe it. And that this was taking no end of time. Finally, a man arrives, and, oh no, before that, I had a ride picking me up. And when I got off the plane, I told the ride I should be out at about half an hour. Well, it was obvious it wasn't going to be half an hour. So I got on my cell phone and I texted, I'm at customs, wait. About 15 minutes later, when it became obvious to me that I was not going to be out of there quickly, I wanted to have pity on my poor ride, and I went to text again, basically, leave, I'll take a cab. And my cell phone was seized by another officious agent. She was a heavy-set Mediterranean type, grim-looking face. You can't use your cell phone. I said, am I under arrest? You can't use your cell phone. I don't see any sign saying that. I simply want to tell somebody on the outside that I'm going to be delayed. I'm inconveniencing people. And she sort of mocked me, inconveniencing. You know, this is real goon mentality. So, okay, my cell phone was taken. I eventually got it back about 20 minutes later, and I did text my long-suffering ride and told him to, that he may as well go home. Okay, finally this man appears, and he identifies himself as nearly as I could understand, a supervisor of intelligence. I kid you not. So Mr. Supervisor of Intelligence, and it finally tells me what's going on. What's going on is that they are looking for hate propaganda. He asked, have you been stopped before? I thought, why are you asking me this? You're the guy with the files. Anyway, I said yes. I was harassed quite severely between 2004 and 2006. And in fact, on one occasion, I had been down to the United States and I'd forgotten I had my book bag with me. I had over 95 titles, including such things as Irish fairy tales. Every last one was seized at Nighthawk in British Columbia. I did get them back shortly afterwards, but yes, I'd had trouble. In fact, there was a deliberate campaign of harassment in those 2 years, and then suddenly it all died out. So I said, yes. He said, well, there's so many things here. There's so many things, so many books and booklets. Do you have any record? I mean, a record of what? Well, what was cleared in that seizure? I said, well, I don't carry legal documents like that around with me. You're the guys with the computer. It was your department that did this. Surely you have records. Well, what about these newsletters? I said, well, I've normally gotten them printed in the United States, and about once a year when I bring them back, they will be they'll open the boxes and take a look at them. Well, do you have any record of that? Well, I said, because they've never been seized. No, I don't have any record of that. Oh, well, there's more. Well, what's this? Well, this is In the Cause of the West by the late Professor Kenneth H.W. Hilborn, Professor of History at the University of Western Ontario. Well, obviously, you never heard of him. Well, what's this? Well, this is a. Have you ever heard of Professor Phil Rushton? No. He's a professor. Well, what's it about? Well, I said it's about racial differences. Okay. I had a couple of DVDs, and they were on the Frankfurt School. So the fat woman asked me, "Well, what's this about?" I said, "Well, it was about a group of pro-communist intellectuals after World War II. World War One. Well, things would go faster if you gave me a complete answer." I thought, well, do you want a complete summary of a half-hour tape, a DVD? So I gave her a couple more sentences. That's it. I said the Frankfurt School were communists after World War I. They were trying to figure out why the communist revolution hadn't occurred in other European countries, and they decided it was because people were loyal first to family, nation, and religion, and the Frankfurt School worked on ways to try to attack those loyalties. Her eyes glazed over. I might as well have been telling her this in Bangladesh. Next intrusion was I had a couple of personal letters, including from my old friend Bill in Montreal. Now I'm sorry, Bill, I didn't see this envelope, and it's a few years old. She opened it, and I said to her, "You don't have the right to open mail. We can do anything we want." That's the attitude of these goons. So anyway, Bill, here's your long-lost letter. Open thanks to Canada Customs. I had a couple other personal letters there. And she took them away and was looking at them. I thought, that's kind of like the behavior of creeps who hang around washroom doors to see if they can't peek in and see, somebody half naked. It's sickening. I have this envelope, and this will be used as evidence in my complaint to Canada Post. This is a stamped envelope. And I said, "You can't open that. This is mail." And she ripped it open, and what did she find? Drugs, hate propaganda. No, some of our newsletters. Really intrusive and pathetic. Anyway, finally, I was given an idea of what this was all about. Mr. Intelligence Supervisor asked me, do you have an enemy? I said, well, I don't know. I'm not particularly paranoid, but yes, I'm sure there are some people who don't like me. In other words, this whole degrading process had been ordered from above to give me a hard time. Finally, I get all of my literature back, all of my clothes, all my newspaper clippings, and I'm about to go. But then the heavyset woman says, "Oh, we have to search your pockets." Okay. Well, I don't know if there's any hate propaganda on snot-covered Kleenex, but okay, you're welcome to it, or a set of house keys, or what do you have in your shirt pocket? Well, I have to take out my filing system here. My handwriting is bad, and I could see her try to read something there. I thought, well, half the time I can't read it. I'm finally on my way out. 2.5 hours later, then they have to search my wallet. Now, they have no reasonable and probable grounds. There isn't going to be hate propaganda, whatever that is, on credit cards or loyalty cards. Finally, they took a look at my license. They're way out of line. I'd already identified myself with my passport. We have to fight customs censorship, and this is just the beginning. This is Paul Fromm with the Canada First Immigration Reform Committee and the Canadian Association for Free Expression.